Well, welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk, right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. And we have a gentleman. It's I've been working with Rock Rage. I'm meeting all kinds of cool people. A lot of them are from the States. This gentleman here, Jeremy Penick, is in Northern California. And for starters, welcome, Jeremy.
Well, thank you so much.
So
Glad to be here.
Brian sends me your CV. You've got quite a background, and without me totally not doing it the proper justice, why don't you give my viewers just a quick little intro on Jeremy and what you've done, because your resume is quite expansive.
Well, I mean, I started out, obviously playing guitar in a band called Carcinogen, playing the local scene in California, up and down, and then we decided to move to LA because one of my good buddies, who I used to play in another band with Sacramento, Dan Noonan, he uh, was going to let us stay with him, and so we went there. We changed the name to a band. We called ourselves Depth Swab, where the name actually came from was the movie Medicine Man with Sean Connery. You know the uh, the tribal healer. I don't
Yes,
know if you've seen the movie. It's a great movie, but uh, yeah, he was, and it's the only time I've heard of it. To be honest, he was called the Depth Swab, and so we thought, oh, that's cool. Medicine Man. Bringing audio, medicinal audio to people, whatever. You know what I mean?
love it.
But yeah, then we started doing the Hollywood scene for a while. Uh, Troubadour was like our home, but we also played, obviously the Roxy, the Whiskey, up and down always. And we got a bunch of attention by a bunch of labels. Ozzy wanted to sign us. We did a showcase for his family. Uh, also, Corey from Slipknot was actually pretty good buds with my roommate, and he ended up staying at my house, and we jammed, and he loved us. He wanted to sign us, and so we ended up getting a manager, and he convinced us to go with Geffen instead of Corey, which kind of messed up our relationships. But yeah, we did a record with Geffen for us. Did a bunch of tours, Mudvayne, all the new metal of that genre in like 2003. And then after a bunch of just BS, we got dropped, and we fired our manager, and I started recording the next record on my own. And so I did the next record twice, actually, because a guy had who I was working with took the files, and my little brother had died while I was recording the second record, and so I just didn't have the heart to do anything for a while, And the
Yeah,
guy was pissed off because I was like 6 months out, and he wanted finish the record and blah blah blah. Well, he wanted $10,000 for the files, which I recorded at my house, and he was supposedly taking them to edit. He took them, and I just told him to F off, and I started over again. So that took me another 2.5 years to do that. So it's been a long road. But then I worked with a bunch of different people. I mean, a bunch that I can't even remember. But uh, then I came back home to California, but Northern Cal, and I started making a country rock record with a friend of mine who became successful, and he had the funds to finance it. So we did that, and then during that time, I started hearing about country rap. So I was asked to start producing for uh, a country rap group, which led to Moonshine Bandits wanting me to record and write some stuff for them. Started doing that, and I uh, joined a group that was like country rap, and and then also Struggle Jennings. couple of years ago. He His producer really liked, because I called his producer just to ask for some advice, and he heard what I was working on. And he asked if they could have that track. And anyways, they used my voice on one of his albums. And oh yeah, and before that, I was a guitar player very shortly for Green Jelly. You remember that group?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those guys are fun, and they all lived in this house in Hollywood with the War guys, and it was just that place was awesome. But it was a short but good time. But yeah, and then so just to cut it short, I just in the last year I started working just on my own stuff and kind of not working with anybody at the moment or wanting to, just so that I can concentrate on myself, because I haven't been able to do that.
No, and I mean that's fair. And I mean you a lot of highs and lows on that story. I mean, and I was watching the clock, and you gave us basically 15 to 17 years in about 3.5 minutes, but an awful lot of highs and lows. And I mean, one of the things that that I got out of that, because it was something that came up on my podcast this week, was having a manager. And is there any value to having a manager? And I'd ask you that question, because my experience, I've had some great ones, but I've had some really lousy ones. What would you say about that?
Well, I would say that if you can't handle the business yourself, if it's too big for that, then obviously you need somebody, but you got to get somebody that you trust and that is not going to strong arm you, and that has your best interests and blah, blah, blah. I mean, unfortunately, we got this guy, and he also managed Mudvayne at the time, which kind of made us go, "Oh yeah, that's Mudvayne's manager," And he was friends with Slipknot's manager, and so we thought it was just a done deal, tighten it in it. But anyways, the guy ended up doing things to get us booted off Geffen, offending at the time Jordan Schur, who was the president of the label. I got a personal call from him, and it was a mess. And anyways, Mudvayne ended up going to litigation with him. I don't know exactly what came of that, but I'm pretty sure it was the same. We had on a very minor scale that they got, and that he was probably, I don't know if it was embezzling or whatever, but he was taking more than he should. Probably millions on their part. But we were pretty good friends with Mudvayne, and during that time they're like, "Hey, sorry, we can't talk to you." So we ended up firing him too. But it was already too late. The damage was done.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned, sorry. Well, you had mentioned that that strained relationship with Corey Taylor, and I mean, to me, it speaks to how powerful some of these guys can be. Maybe not, they can't control your lives, but they can ruin it in some way by stupid, maybe accusations or going to people and saying, this or that.
A lot of ego.
A lot of ego. And I often find the good managers, this is my experience, the good ones are the ones that were actually musicians themselves. Because they understand both sides of they understand the kind of, chasing your dream and being broke and being
the passion. Yeah. I understand why a musician does it.
Right. Well, and to me, it's like, I don't want some guy to fix my Mercedes if I have one that, only knows how to fix a Toyota.
Yeah.
That's not you know what I mean? Like, I want somebody that actually knows the business, somebody that's done something. So that's interesting. So
totally.
The country rap thing, that intrigues me a little bit, because everything that you were talking about previously to that, obviously that was on the heavier side of things.
Yeah. And then when I moved back here, I did a country rock record called Thin Black Line.
Okay, so I
recorded all that and wrote most of that as well.
So that world, I know some people in that world. I know some people where I live that go down to Nashville and record, and I've got some friends that are in that business. There's a post on my wall today about Beyonce not winning the award she was supposed to win, and everybody was up in arms. What do you think about some of these artists that are now crossing over into that genre of music?
I think it's natural, because anything that stays the same usually gets kind of stale, so people just want especially musicians, they're always wanting to test the limits and do something new. I mean, that's the way I've always felt. It's like I don't want to recreate, something that's been done really well and I could never accomplish it. I want to try to maybe cross boundaries and do something that, might hurt somebody's ears because it's like, oh wow, I never heard things done that way. And it is what it is. I'm not going to hate on anybody's music, and I see a lot of haters on, and for me, it's like, man, just put your effort into the love and leave the hate. You know what I mean? Because the hate and all that stuff, it just, it makes people, it hurts people's feelings. I mean, it's just like there's no room for that. There's already enough uh, turmoil in the world.
Yeah.
Let's love a little bit.
Well, it's a great because here's the thing, and I mean, if you look at social media, if you look at the way the world's set up now with reality TV and all these things, basically the way that it's set up is, if you and I aren't A-listers, it's designed for you and I to feel bad about not being A-listers. So, and what they want us to do is follow the A-listers
Yeah.
instead of trying to be one yourself. And I find an awful lot of people, like you're a guy that strikes me as you're just going to do your thing. You're going to put out what you like. You're not going to worry about that sort of stream. I'm the same way, but I know a bunch of people that aren't. They get caught up in other people's lives and not enough in their own. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean, all
sort
you
of what
got to
you're
do is
talking about.
look on social media, and you'll see it all day long. People judging each other. What does it get? Really,
Right.
what does it do?
A lot of
Yeah,
hurt feelings, a
there's
lot of
no
stress, a lot of anxiety.
like I and just uh lately we've seen the new Lake Park, right, with the new
Yeah.
singer. So I see a bunch of hate for that. I'm like, I don't get it. Why why people hating each other? You know what I mean? Like, let life live. Let just create. You know what I mean? And it's like I see, people. Oh well, this is Chester's legacy. Well, I'm sorry, but regardless of mental illness, he opted out. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a
Yeah.
choice anymore. You know what I mean? And he left, not only his family, and I'm not putting any judgment on him, but I'm just saying, like, why even, you know, like put all that negativity out there? Why don't you just be happy that people are creating something?
Well, and the other side of the coin for me is you have a choice as to whether or not you want to support it by choosing to buy the music or going to the concerts or
For
whatever.
sure.
So
Yeah, turn
don't,
the station.
right, exactly. And that, and that to me, I don't, you're right. I don't get the whole, there's an awful lot of stuff that annoys me, but I have learned to scroll through it. If I'm asked, I may politely weigh in, but I mean, I just don't invest my time in some of the stuff as much as some other people do. And it's a lot
Yeah,
easier.
yeah. I see it all day long. Anytime I open Facebook or anything, you see people hating on something. Yeah,
Crazy.
and it's unfortunate, but so I mean, I choose to just try to be positive and take the things that have happened as lessons instead of like victimizing myself. I mean, and it can be taken that way. Oh, you're acting like a victim. No, this is just something that honestly, all the stuff that I've gone through, I'm glad I went through it because I won't put myself in those situations again. And I have no ill will towards these people. It is what it is.
Well, and I mean,
And I choose to say it's all a lessons, instead of for me.
well, and I mean, I think that that's, probably, in my opinion, why you've probably had such a long career in different parts of the business, because you kind of take whatever's kind of taken to you, learn from it, you move on to the next, and the next appears to be, you were saying you're doing this hip hop country and different sorts of things. Where do you see that going? Is that do you want to perform with that? Do you want to do movie soundtracks, TV? Like, where do you see that going, Jeremy?
No, I'm done. I mean, for the time being, I'm done with all that. I, I just, am making my own music and like the guys I was playing for, these guys are, like, oh, make a track for me, do this for me. I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna do nothing for nobody anymore. At least it's time being. I'm gonna just concentrate on writing whatever it is that's coming to my heart. And so that's where the new Carry On EP that I released was it March or April? I think it's March of this year. I released it. It's 5 songs, and then I released 2 songs directly after that in see uh, April and May, and then I've got other songs, 20 some odd songs in the works right now. I got a really cool one right now I'm working on, and it's probably the most commercial and most rock. It's like, and the Carry On EP it's a little bit emotionally heavy. I was just coming out of a, a really I guess a alcoholic relationship, I would say, and so there's a lot that fed into that.
Yeah.
I had to get it out. And now I'm trying to write some more positive and just kind of more rock and roll stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a guitar player. I've always been a guitar. I never thought that I'd be a singer. So
Why not? Somebody's going to do it.
we were, yeah. When I was in Carcinogen, we were a 3-piece without any singer. We couldn't find a singer, and so but we still like played everywhere. People enjoyed it, and so I've just always been a guitar player at heart. Even though I picked up other instruments, like I love, like I don't play it well right now, but like banjo and bass, and different feel of a bass, and then obviously vocals are. I have a definitely a different voice, and that sometimes uh, it lends for me to do certain things that other people could do, a lot easier than I could. I have to do in a certain way that my voice kind of fits, kind of a higher range, I guess. People never suspect it.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. um, so just as we're wrapping up here, because I know you're busy, um, where do my viewers, and this is going out Rock Rage Radio, so there'll be listeners as well. Where are they going to find the material? Where can they get a hold of it? Where can they listen to it? How do they get a hold of you? How do they say hi? All that good stuff.
Oh, well, you can either go on Facebook, and I posted like uh some of the videos. Well, I have my own little YouTube, and all I've taken some of the music that I've recently created, and I just put some imagery, some AI imagery. So I created visuals, like pictures, and then I animated the pictures, and then I put them all together in in like a video kind of format, just to have something to look at while you're listening to it. And I put that on my YouTube, which is just Jeremy Penick. And yeah, if you search up Jeremy Penick on Google, it'll all come up. But I have an Instagram, yeah, and then iTunes, Amazon, all that stuff. The album's called Carry On, the EP, and uh, it's all on all the main outlets. And
I found you, brother, because
yeah,
I
just
subscribed to your channel.
yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you know what? I know building a YouTube channel is tough, and people don't realize it because
yeah,
they'll see people that do. I always joke around about the guy that feeds raccoons on his back deck and gets like 40 million views, right? Like people, they'll subscribe to that. Yeah. They won't subscribe to music. I know how hard it is to build a channel. So when somebody sends me their link or I find their link, I subscribe anytime. So, absolutely. Look, I want to thank you for doing this, my man. It was very nice to meet you.
thank you.
And
Thank you, man. And we became friends on Facebook yesterday, right?
we did, absolutely. Because and as soon as you said think about guitar player and banjo, it's like, that was Jeremy because I saw the post. You made a post about that.
Yeah, I like, I'm really open-minded. I think that's something I don't mind crossing genres. I don't have a thing with it like some people do. I just don't understand. But I'm I don't get stuck with things like all the music in my heyday. Like, I know a million people that they'll still listen, to whatever song was in their high school years, and they get all amped up like it was the first time they ever heard it. I honestly, I'm always listening for the new stuff, like all the new metal bands I've been listening to a lot. Like, well, obviously like Falling Reverse, Memphis on Fire, who else? Bad Omens, but I also listen to real calm stuff like As Year. uh, 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 what's trying to think of this one group. They have a song called Anchor. Anyways, it's completely opposite. But I listen to everything. You know, I'm just really open minded. And I think for me, putting myself in a box, it hurts me. So I just need to be always out of it. You know what I mean?
I do, brother. Love it. I love it. Look, I want to thank you for doing this, man. And
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
enjoy
it.
the day. Peace.
You too, man.
We're
Be
back.
blessed.
Rock Rage Radio after this.